What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Battle for Bikini Bottom 100% tournament. This is the grand finals match between Univa and Flux. On commentary, I'm Jared's Giants, along with Shift, and Ringo Tongo should also be joining shortly here. So it looks like this is going to be a pretty good matchup. These have been two of the most consistent, if not just the two consistent runners throughout this whole entire thing. So I think we're in store for a pretty good one. As you can see,
saw Crawfish take it over Jack, getting his third place spot. Jack finishing in fourth. Good run from both of those gentlemen. And now we will see Flux versus Univa.
So I think from when this tournament started, these were two of the guys that stuck out of a lot of them. These two in particular, Flux, just due to how good they've gotten at the game just over the past couple of months that they've been playing. And then Univa's always had consistency on his side. He's a very consistent runner. So these were definitely two of the more favorited runners to make a run in this bracket. So this match is no surprise, but looks like we're going to be getting started here in just a second.
Yeah, so one of the notable differences here between the two runners is that Univa has been playing the game. I think he started in 2017, around like maybe mid 2017, before the first half of before the first half of the year was over. Yeah, and Flux started earlier last year, actually, like very early 2019, and they've pretty much been going through 100% runs the entire time. I'd say, like, very quickly after they got to the game, it's pretty much just been all 100, maybe a couple of pit stops to other categories just for fun, but this has been their main grind. Univa in the past, I think, well, obviously back in the day, any percent was the popular category that we all played, but since then, obviously, people branched out. But Univa did dabble in 100% a little bit as well. He was second place in that category a while back when it was like in, I think, like mostly in the 140s range. So he's been around the bend. He's been playing this for a while, but it is important to note that since the discovery of SPA and all of the Sand Mountain skips, it's a very different game now. So it's tough to say who has the advantage here as far as experience, because it's just such a different game. You know, you have Univa's fundamentals playing for him as well, with how long he's been around the game for, how much experience and knowledge he has, and Flux just having more experience with this route, these strats probably, because they've been playing for longer with this specific rule set, or rather, this meta, not rule set, because the rule set hasn't changed. Just the same rules, different game.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I think Univa's always kind of been one of those runners who can take a break for a pretty decently long time and just come back and put himself right back up into, like, you know, top 10, top 5 area of competition, just as far as leaderboard times goes. And if you've watched him play at all throughout this tournament, you'll see that he consistently can finish with, you know, very low 130s or 129s, 128s. And Flux as well has had a lot of good races on their side. So, Flux missing RSS one time. So it's about 15 seconds for every miss.
Yeah, early on in the game, that's not that big of a deal, though. This is the kind of run where, you know, every mistake you make will cost you a lot of time. So there will be more opportunities to make up time later when inevitably, you know, both runners will make some mistakes here and there.
Yeah, I've actually noticed a trend of people catching a lead in the early game and then the other person just making a comeback and just kind of blown out late game like it's nothing, and other people are struggling. So, you know, this category, it can flip-flop very easily. Pretty much areas in every section of the game, whether it's beginning, mid, or end, that can either make or break your run, like Sand Mountain 2. RSS is a big one for races because just the kind of lack of a setup for that trick. It's more field based. So if you don't have a good idea of, you know, how to time it, then you might struggle with that. But it's only.
It's also worth noting it's like a very high pressure situation. Like it's the first like you had that stage fright when you're getting onto. I mean, I'd never done races before, but as far as marathons go, like there's definitely that stage fright factor when you're first getting into the game, when you're performing like a one-shot deal, like a race or a marathon, and RSS is right in the beginning. There's for sure a lot of added pressure that can affect your timing and your reactions.
Oh yeah, I can confirm that. It's like in the beginning of the race. I think that most of the time runners find themselves most nervous just at the beginning before they mess anything up, and then the more sloppy your movement starts to get and the more mistakes you start to make, I think the nerves kind of start to settle in. They'll go away, and you'll notice the play gets a lot more organized and clean. But so far, really not too many big mistakes on either side. Flux, as we said, missed RSS once. Univa had a little bit of trouble with rollbuck, but still a close race no matter what. This is like nothing. Still got a ton of time to play.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I think Dream is one of those like kind of slept on levels in my opinion, where if you're not practiced with the tricks in this level, you can lose yourself a lot of time, put yourself in kind of a bad situation in the beginning game, just because of how costly misses are on like oil skip and slide jump and stuff like that. It's it's one of those levels that if you're not ready for it, it might hit you kind of hard. And
Yeah, I think that's definitely an interesting concept. Is like focusing on how much time the tricks lose rather than how often you think you get them. So like if oil skip loses like 24 seconds when you miss it. See, yeah, that I just cursed him. But yeah, like that's what happened there is Univa was on the damage cycle where Spongebob stretches out, so you have 2 extra frames of animation, and that will cause him to slide off the ledge for 2 extra frames, which puts him off the ledge far enough to not be able to get the bash. So in that situation, what you want to do instead is probably damage yourself so you get onto the next cycle, or you can go more to the right, because going more to the right, there's more of a cliff to slide off of, so it gives you more time before you fall, so the bash is timed properly.
Right side gang, proud to represent it.
Yeah, the new tutorial is going to have a lot of people are going to be doing left side, because that's what I covered in the new one. So we're going to have new runners coming fresh out the gate with their first runs doing oil skip in 2020. The game's progressed quite a bit. Anyway, this is very close now.
I'm actually surprised that Flux doesn't have a bigger lead, because, I mean, like I said, factoring in that Univa took an extra like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, somewhere in between there, just on his rollbuck, I'm surprised that with an oil miss, it's not a bigger lead. Not that it matters, but yeah, this is like actually neck and neck. It's like a second difference, if even that.
Yeah. Flux just barely ahead.
So you'll see a lot of this throughout the run until late. I'm not sure about their late game routes. I don't know if they're doing...
So Univa actually upgraded his route. He's doing the hand disable in downtown and just finishing downtown with the hand enable in downtown, where you do downtown as one segment and finish the rest of the game after downtown.
Okay, so Univa's doing the most optimal route.
Yeah, and I believe Flux is going to do the route where you do downtown first and go through down the menu and then Sand Mountain later into the run.
Alright, so yeah, once we get in the late game, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to judge who's in the lead and who's not. It's more so just going to be based off of, who makes more mistakes and what goes right and wrong. Actually, okay, so Univa's back in the lead by like half a second. Okay, now it's tied. Look at this.
Yeah, that's just that movement though. Like again, I was saying earlier, the fundamental experience where Univa's movement is just so much more conditioned over 3 years of playing the game. He's going to be able to make up a little bit of time in some spots.
All right, so this trick might end up giving us a little bit more of a kind of bolded lead. And, you know, who's in front, who's not, depending on the one frame as well. I think both are pretty consistent with one frames, but as I say this, there you go. Flux got it. Univa having a little bit of trouble. There you go. It's a good glide by Flux. Both had good glides. Nice. All right, so still really close. That can sometimes cause quite a bit of trouble for some people. I think another thing to mention is that I believe Flux. Oh, Univa, that's not good. One thing that I was going to say was with Univa, pretty sure Flux learned this game after the new glide was found. Is that correct? I don't know if they learned before or after. I'm pretty sure it was after, you said, right?
I think that Univa stopped playing right before the new glide was found.
So Univa is doing this glide off of old muscle memory. You kind of have to cancel out your old muscle memory, which you know, might sound like for a speedrunner it's not that big of a deal, but with the way that we were doing it for like years before, I was going to give Univa credit because, you know, how clean that glide was. And I know a lot of the old school runners still have some trouble getting that just because it's so hard to get rid of muscle memory that you've built up for, you know, years on end. So I think that's one advantage that Flux is going to have, is that because they learned this game later, they learned a lot of the new strats just up front and didn't have to, you know, kind of change anything or get used to anything else. And I think, you know, while Univa is obviously good enough to learn all the new things, he hasn't been playing to the extent that Flux has. I'm pretty sure he just kind of came back recently for this tournament.
But even so, Univa's kind of popped off with all the PBs. Like, I mean,
oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. He's gotten some really good times lately. I think he's third place now, right? No, fourth place. You're third place.
No, I'm fourth. He's fifth, I think. I think he has a 127. If I'm not.
Oh, right, because I forgot. Yeah. You're fourth and he's fifth. I keep forgetting. Roberto's got that 123.
Yeah, Roberto got that 123 a while ago. He got a pretty good time for what it was worth back then.
Still now, like, it's pretty much nothing really big's been found. It's still just as good as it was back then, I'd say. Right. What's really been found since like November and now? Like a 10-second reroute?
Yeah.
Not much.
Just like taking a beating out there.
I think
well, I mean, there have been like very small things that, you know, not a lot of people are doing yet, like the sock changes in early game and stuff.
Right.
Nothing so huge that it's like, oh yeah, the 123 would be better now. You know, it's still just as good as it was back then.
Alright, time for fun. Yeah, let's get through this.
Yeah.
So as you can see, there's just a lot going on right now. A lot of things that everybody cares about. So we're gonna watch. You want to take a minute to talk about like tutorial or pace or something?
Yeah.
Something. No,
We
not
have like 30 or so people interested in going to pace from this community. I'm not sure how many will go, but still quite a bit. It's worth looking into, like becoming familiar with what it is if you're not already. So I'll just plug that out here. Pace is going to be occurring in May this year. Features a bunch of competitive games in the speedrunning community. If we get enough people at pace from this community, we're gonna have a live tournament there, most likely. We'll see that. That'd be pretty cool to see if enough people
That's
go.
gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a prime time to get into this game with the hype surrounding 100% as well as Rehydrated coming out pretty soon. Shift's working on a tutorial that's getting close to being wrapped up. If you have any interest in joining the community, I think now is one of the best times ever. We've had a few times where we've kind of had a pop-off in our community and had a lot of people start running, and I think now is going to be one of those times. So
yeah, I think like obviously the speedrun.com numbers are like there's context to them, but you know 60 active runners right now is pretty good for this game. I mean, our highest ever was like almost 70 at one point, but you got to consider like, you know, for a game this optimized, people have trouble PBing, and like people are still active and they don't have their times on the boards because, like, you know, maybe they just haven't PB'd in a while, but they're still playing. You know, all that considered, plus that level of activity is pretty good right now. And what's interesting as well, yeah, you can go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think our old or our current, I guess I could say, our current record for active players occurred, I believe, during summer break, which
It
is like
occurred. It was actually like right after when Ballroom Clip was found. That was like late 2018. But I was gonna say that leads into my point that I was about to say. Usually when that happens, it's because some big trick gets found and people just come back to update their times with the new trick. But this time, nothing really big's been found as far as like low to high level players. You know, it's like mostly just been like theoretical, weird top level stuff people are kind of like looking into. Not really anything that can be used in runs right now. It's really super major. It's just people are just genuinely interested in playing the game right now. It's cool to see.
I think if you wanted to give any credit to a trick right now that is saving people time, it would be number one, because 100% was made main and people are motivated to play that now because a lot of people focus their time on any, but also just because people who did have 100% times, I know a decent amount of them are coming back and learning LCBs and stuff that they can
Right, yeah,
use.
because you have those people who weren't active in the community coming back to play 100 as well. It's weird because like the LCBs have been around for a little bit, but I think now people are getting back to school, or like it's weird to think about how like some people are busier over holiday break than they are off of holiday breaks. So people are going back to their dorms, and I guess they're seeing all the stuff that's being found. They're coming back to the game. It's like it kind of flips. Like you have people who are more active during the winter break season, and people who are less active, and it switches around. I think that Aloysius, I saw him streaming the other day in the directory. He was really good at 100% back when he used to play actively. Curious to see how good he can get. Alex97, the founder of the legendary Fast Nut, is also doing some runs.
Yeah, it's good to see a lot of the older runners that were so dedicated back in the day come back and still help make contributions to the game.
Yeah, Alex, of course, is still finding stuff like that. Yeah, Swingers DCB setup. Even though it's a long way from being used in runs. It's been like a month of labbing that, and we're starting to get somewhere with it, I think.
So Flux looks like they had a really good SBA setup, and Univa is following suit. A little trouble on the flags there.
That's fine though, because there's going to be a little bit of waiting anyway.
Yeah, that can be a little tricky just doing it. The reason that Flux is climbing the flags the way that they are is because, or the way that they were, I should say, was because when you get your camera a certain distance away from the skee ball machine, you'll stop earning shinies. So you kind of have to climb those flags at a weird angle in order to keep the shiny flow going. I mean, it only loses a few seconds if you opt to not do it, but optimally, it's best to keep the shiny count going so you don't have to wait any longer after you're done. But It looks like Flux is going to be good. And I would assume that Univa is probably going to be good too. Alright, so Univa is going to opt to turn the camera a little bit. As you can see, it just stops the flow for like a second or two, so it's really no big deal, but...
Ready for another fantastic day!
Alright, so you'll see
Stock
Flux.
spread is so it's so weird that some of this stuff is faster in the beginning of the game, but like it's so nice that some of the cooler things that were in the late game are getting pushed back earlier, so it kind of improves the pacing of the entire run. This is like a newer strat. Like I'm just now seeing these things done in runs because I've been off of 100% for around a month now. But it's so cool seeing the stuff people are doing now.
Yeah, and then Univa doesn't do the Wakatiki sock early. It's only a... How much does it say? Like a second?
It's like under a second, I'm pretty
Or
sure.
a second? It does...
Obviously, like it's a movement thing, so it can probably save more if it gets ironed out.
Right.
That's just
think
usually the way those things are.
I think it's just favorable, in a sense, to do it early game just for the sake of flow. In the late game, it kind of, you know, it's just taking out one of those things that it's like, yeah, you know, if you can just get it out of the way and get it done, it's nice. And if you can save a little bit of time off it, so be it. If you can't, then, well, at least it's already done. I think that Flux also is doing the ballroom sock early now too, so they'll be doing that. They won't have to go and get it when they're doing the clip later. Shouts out to Univa for doing that damage boost. I like that strat.
Yeah. One of the few cool things that Sandy has in this run. Oh, that was almost a really good fight from Univa.
Still was
So
pretty good.
close.
Definitely made up some time on Flux there. Flux had a little bit of trouble with the last fodder that was all the way across. But yeah, I mean, this race is still very close considering everything that's happened.
Yeah. The race between Flux and Jack earlier was really good too.
So that
Yeah, shout outs to Four, by the way. Four was gonna commentate earlier, but just had jaw surgery, so he wasn't able to get on. But you know, it'll be fun working with him in the future, and some of the races we're gonna do pretty soon. Actually, obviously, like the GSA race is this tournament's over after this race, but we're gonna have more opportunities for the community to do races in the near future. So it'll be cool to have him on the comms then when that comes around. So shouts to him for being around despite not being able to commentate.
Just a shout out to everybody who helped, you know, with this tournament in general. You know, commentators, people who signed up to a race. Milo, we appreciate you helping host, as well as some other hosts as well. I'm not sure of names, but yeah, I mean, you know, we appreciate the
Shout out
chance.
to MV Parrot for donating $50 to the $300 prize pot.
That as well, and GSA in general.
Yeah, GSA contributed $100 as well, so shout out to them.
Checkers, the king of non-contact.
Do you remember that tournament when we we did the meme run on my stream to raise money for the prize pot? We raised $750
Yep.
for an NSPA tournament. That was peak, man. I think that Jack did Jack win that one?
I think.
Was Jack
When
or
was that?
Univa
That was
the winner?
earlier. That was earlier. Well, that was early 2019, wasn't it?
No, that was like
Or was that 2018?
that was like late 2018, I think, or like maybe it was early 2019, something like that. But yeah, it was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
That was a good tournament.
The
They're
winner
always good
walked away with
tournaments.
like $325. Yeah, I can't remember if it was Univa or Jack. I think it was Univa, but
So just to point out a little bit of a route difference here, it really doesn't make much of a difference which one you do first. I think Univa just did Sand Mountain first because he goes for the cycle, the faster cycle on the blocks. But they'll even back up around Industrial Park, so we'll know. I think Flux had a little bit of a lead before they split up, but ooh, a little bit of trouble with the melon. That one's gonna break. All right, so Flux is gonna have to just wait for another melon here.
Yeah,
Actually, very rare to see something like that happen.
that's one of the things I've been trying to think more about when making these tutorials. Like, what can possibly go wrong to try and like comfort the new runners. Like, oh, this weird thing happened. Well, that's not that bad. This is what you do to prevent it, kind of a thing. Because it's so hard to think about this game and from a perspective like somebody who's never played it before. You know, the stuff that we take for granted almost, like even just like cruise boost movement is just so weird for someone who's never played.
Yeah, especially just because we've been around for like almost all of the, you know, big changes in, you know, movement and routing and strats and stuff like that. It's like, you know, the experienced runners have a really good idea.
Watch one of your runs from like 2 years ago and just if you skip through like every 10 minutes, just like click around, you'll see at least one thing each time you click that's just completely outdated or just not even used anymore.
Yeah, I think I watched my 127 not that long ago, and it was like, it was so painful to even just look at. I was like, I can't believe I was playing like.
Oh,
just...
I thought you were talking about 100%. I thought you were making a joke, and I was like, wait, you never had a 127?
No, I meant my like actual NSBA 127.
Yeah.
It's actually painful to watch. I was like, wow, we knew nothing about this game back then.
My old runs are just like, my capture card was set to like only treble, so it was just like actually painful to watch. Like it was hard to listen to, and the strats are all old. So bad. Yeah, it's fun to go back and look sometimes.
All right, so I actually think that Univa might have a tiny bit of a lead here. Just considering,
I think
yeah,
so too.
Flux is having a lot of trouble with this button. I think Univa might have a little bit of a lead, just factoring in that Flux still has to do all of Sand Mountain. Univa's actually catching up. They'll be around the same time. It wasn't anything major, but I think Univa might have a tiny bit of a lead going into IP, and then because of Univa's route being a little bit faster, he'll be in a pretty good spot.
We're gonna know pretty early what kind of a spot Univa's in.
Yeah, the good thing about Univa is that he's gonna
early.
Exactly, he's gonna get Sand Mountain out of the way, and that's like probably the biggest, like, you know,
Yeah, you can make two arguments here that like doing Sand Mountain early is less stressful because it's earlier and you don't know your stakes, so you can just do it. If you don't want to consider what strats if you're hard dedicated to doing your strats, like you just do them and there's not as much pressure, which is the one strat. But if you're planning on switching back and forth between strats, yeah, the play would be to do it later into the run and then choose which one you do based off of how far ahead or behind you are compared to the other player.
Right.
But I mean, that's a much high pressure situation where, I mean, personally, I don't do races, but in my PB attempts, I personally like it when there's not another option. Like you just have to commit to something because it takes, I think a lot of the time people just think too much about what they're doing. And when you think too much, it just makes everything harder. Like the route that Univa's doing, you have to do the brain clips at the end. You can't just skip to the end with the duplicated Tron boost. You have to
Yeah.
actually get the brain. So because
So-
there's no stress of wondering whether you should do it or not, you know, it's just you just do it. And most of the time, if you practice, you'll just get it anyway. So
And then there's always a second side to stuff like that too. So if Univa's in a spot where he's like 10 seconds ahead or something like that, and he were to miss brain, it could give Flux a chance to catch up like right at the end. So it's one of those, risk reward kind of things.
I believe that that missing the brain costs around 10 seconds, 10 to 15. So the routing change saves like around 10, where you do all that stuff later. And plus, not having to go for the 2-frame disable under the lighthouse. You know, even if you miss the brain once, you're still going around even with what you might have done before. It's still worth it. You can get the brain second try. It's worth attempting.
I agree.
Also, shout outs to Tyrone, the Odyssey record holder in the chat.
Shout out. Yeah, so it looks like Univa's got actually a pretty decent lead, I think. Well, Flux also did the sock, so actually Flux has 2 socks. Okay, Univa is gonna do it. So yeah, Flux is gonna have an extra sock compared to Univa. Gonna have the Wakatiki 1, which is what, like 30 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna say because I just don't know. I haven't looked into that yet because I have been out of 100% for a little bit.
I think the segment takes around like 30 seconds for
It
you to
should,
do
but
late game, so it's something like that. Just factoring that
I
in.
just don't know the exacts. So
Yeah, I don't either. Okay, actually, it's pretty close.
yep, this is live. They have a VLC player they can use to resync. But, close enough.
Oh, Univa does it this way. Okay.
I guess they're both doing it this way.
I think that's like another thing that people don't really focus on a lot is that a lot of people do Krusty Krab like very differently. I think everybody kind of has their comfortable way of doing it.
Yeah, it's one of those segments where you have to pay a lot of attention to what's happening around you. So I guess in a race you'd adjust to what you're comfortable with. A matter of seconds in a race isn't always going to matter at this point. But, you know, dying or missing a barrel will matter a lot more. But I know there have been some like ideas about different ways to do this level, so maybe this is fast, I don't know. I've been out of this for a little bit, so I'd have to look into it. But
Yeah, so Univa's coming out with like a 5-second lead, about a spatula animation difference.
yeah.
Probably gonna change in Industrial Park, I would assume.
Yeah. But Flux is still ahead in socks, so
Yeah.
Univa's gonna have to make up for that by getting the sock in Goo Lagoon.
Yikes! Looks like Spongebob's in for a rough ride.
So even if you wanted to kind of factor in like all the differences in their routes and stuff, you can't even really pinpoint like who's gonna have a lead and who's not. We'll be able to tell kind of, who's losing time where, and we'll be able to add it up and kind of have a good idea of who's leading when it comes down to late game, but it's not going to be clear and obvious for a while.
The robot better change tactics and fast.
You know, I really missed the trackers that we had for the tournament we did on my channel a while back. The,
Oh, yeah, those
the level
trackers were
tracker where you
good.
click on the
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep, those were good.
What is Sandy going to do to get Spongebob unfrozen?
So, what does Flux do right out of IP? Downtown?
Downtown.
Okay.
Yeah, Flux likes to adjust the route based on where they are relative to the other runner.
That's the ticket.
They're still in between the sandy strats
That hot goo
and non-sandy
could
strats
melt
and stuff like that.
Oh, that's not
And,
a sting.
Flounder, excuse me, and Sand Mountain. Flounder Hill, I don't know if they choose whether to do the LCB or not based on how far ahead or behind they are. Maybe they do. But either way, like, menuing honestly doesn't really matter in a race setting. It's just a matter of what you prefer to do in what order.
Spongebob will be back in the ring. Oh, that was a doozy.
Depends though, 'cause there are some routes where you have to do stuff in a certain order.
Shout out to Jared's Giants for being the only person to die in Industrial Park in this tournament.
That made me so mad when I saw that. I was like, oh my god.
It was so dumb, dude. I landed on the side of the platform, and I got like the landing animation, but like Sandy just kept falling. I was like, why?
That was like
Okay.
right at the end of the phase too.
I know.
You
Ooh,
had to fight your boss again.
Fresh like a
Yeah, there are some routes like with like one tiki and stuff where you have to do certain things in certain orders, otherwise you just can't get through the toll gates. Especially with the hand at the end, like that kind of blocks off 3 whole levels. I think to address that, there may eventually just be routes that do part of rock bottom and then like lasers at the end. Just because lasers is the only part in there that really needs to have the hand enabled. But it's just a matter of seconds though. It's just trying to optimize the amount of time you're waiting on SBA.
Do-si-do and around you go.
We thought that SBA would be the death of shiny routing, but it's just gotten harder because you have to account for so many different scenarios.
The robot better check.
Yeah, Flux pulling ahead as far as gameplay right now with the extra sock.
yeah, Flux got a much better Industrial Park than Univa did. Univa had some bad spots and missed both of those boulders. Alright, so this is where you'll see the route split. And we won't have a... I don't think the routes match up until the very end, so we're just going to have to kind of play this by eye and see, you know, as I said before, who's losing time where, and, you know, whether or not the other person loses time there or does it right. It's, you know, it just gets to be an event. Yeah, the average time for a 100% run, probably for these races, it's around like a 130, 132 or something like that, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd agree. Alright, well, let's see what Univa does in Slide 3. I believe Univa does the Sandy Time Challenge for this one. Could be wrong though. Yes. Alright, so we are seeing the Sandy.
Number 1 in the Bikini Bottom scavenger hunt 3 years running. Thank you. Number 1 in the Bikini Bottom scavenger hunt 3 years running. Thank you.
All right, predictions in the chat for the slide time. I'm gonna say 5. What are you saying, Shift? Predict the
6.
slide time 6. All right.
It's hard. I mean, like, at this point, it's hard to tell because we haven't seen the chuck yet.
Just put
But-
them in there. Just put them in there. I want to see who's saying what. Oh, somebody's got confidence at 7.
Yeah, 7. I don't think I've seen anybody get a 7 before in any of these races. You can get 7s though. It is possible. Very rare though. I haven't seen anybody do it in these races.
Yeah, you can get 7s, and you can also get you lose. I'm familiar with that.
Oh god, that clip is so good. I'm gonna go find it.
You lose.
Yeah, Jared's Giants clips, top of all time. Whoa. Oh, I'm on Jared's alt account.
Ooh, Univa's got some clean movement going right here. I like to see it.
Top of all time.
I remember exactly what my voice sounds like in that clip. I remember exactly what I said.
Is that clip from 2016? Like early 2017?
All right, 4 gang. Whoever said 4, there you go. That's from 2017, I think, or 2016 or 17. All right, so Flux wrapping up the needle for now. Downtown for now. Alright, I don't know what Univa's strat set is for Gate 2. I mean, I know for sure that he's going for Sandman 1 cycle, but I don't know if he incorporated the LCB yet or not. Oh, here's your answer. He did. Nice. I didn't know for sure. That was clean. Let's go, Univa. Good stuff. That's what I meant. Taught myself.
Jared Giant said the bad word. Cancelled.
Said a bad word. Alright, so Univa didn't get the chance for the bash, but that's fine. How much time does that bash even save? Like 2 seconds?
It depends. Sometimes it saves time, sometimes it goes even.
Also looks very cool though, so.
Yeah. There are like 1 frame jumps you can do like off the ground to climb the mountain faster.
Who's currently in the lead? It's hard to say. I would probably put my money on Flux being in the lead right now. Because I know Flux has
Yeah,
an
it's
extra
just like
sock.
hard to say for sure these things because Flux has not done Sand Mountain yet.
Oh, Univa,
That was a really
clean.
nice, yeah, I like that.
That was really fast.
That was sick, yeah.
Good stuff, Univa. Alright, so pretty much anything bad that could have happened in Sand Mountain has pretty much happened unless you were to die right here, which probably not going to happen.
You know, back in the day, a lot of the 100% runners used to just fall off the ledge at the end, getting the spatula, and they had to redo all the Sandmen. Old school 100% was so cursed.
Yeah, now you don't even have to worry about it. I remember that's like if you don't press B fast enough or something, right?
I think that's what it was. I don't remember.
I usually
Because
just,
it's never happened to me, so I don't even know.
yeah, I just spam click B. Cause, okay, so
I haven't seen it to happen to anybody in like. Yeah, I haven't seen it happen to anybody in like years.
yeah, I haven't either.
I just remember seeing like Ringo. It used to happen to him a lot.
And also, it couldn't even happen anymore if you're doing one cycle.
Oh
Ooh,
jeez.
Flux. That's not good.
Yeah. See, notable difference here is that Univa is doing a route where if that happens to him, he has to reload the entire level. So it's a little bit riskier for racing.
Or he can get lucky and like clip his way out, but it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
Good BRC.
It's nice seeing the 100% boards fill out more. You know, it's funny that like recently we decided to move the all-level spatulas category to extension just because, you know, it was hard to notice in the past because all the side categories are kind of dead for this game, except for any percent. But over the past year and a half, definitely not the case anymore, where people are kind of spread out, doing their own thing. Like all-level spatulas was just around just as popular as 100 and 200 were back in the day. The old school, like weird, cheap 100% category people called 200. They were all around just as popular, but over the past year, 100% just exploded in popularity. It's really put into perspective, you know, like those other categories really only existed because they were just alternatives when 100% wasn't as fun to run.
Yeah, 100% used to just be so bad because we went from how much was it? It's like 17 minutes of grinding or something like that. Then we cut it down to like 9 or I don't even remember. We cut it down a decent amount, and then once SBA was found, it was kind of like it's funny how the ideology of what SBA does to this game kind of changed. Flux, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. No, SBA is a lot less popular now than it was in the past, and honestly, because I think what happened is that like 80% has become a lot more beginner friendly and less friendly to top players because you know it's kind of like pulling hairs, splitting hairs rather, excuse me. When you're playing that at top level, because it's just like you miss a lag clip, and that's like one of the few things that you'll miss in the entire run is just like lag clips in SBA. So it's more annoying to grind when you're at top level because it's just very small steps in the wrong direction that'll kill your run. So people prefer no SBA because it's more challenging, but now like 100%'s the ultimate challenge, and it feels like the top players and more experienced runners are, you know, gravitating to this category now instead of no SBA. Really what's happened now. Because all the top players are focused on this, you know, we're seeing no SBA just lose a lot of popularity.
So close. Flux almost fell, but they got it, so.
Yeah, I mean, Univa has to do this now. Huh. This is interesting.
No, I actually kind of like that.
Yeah,
Kinda,
it's not bad.
that might be faster than bowling all of them.
Nah, it's not.
It's not?
Because think about how much time you waste with the startup.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I think it's just dependent on how fast your bowls are, if you're
It's
accurate with
definitely
them.
consistent, which is valuable in these kinds of situations.
Alright, so
Cruise bubble is mad slow.
is Univa... I don't know if he's gonna do this soccer. I'm not gonna do it now.
Yeah, do you remember when we had to do that as Patrick in like Goo Lagoon 1?
What, Wakatiki?
Yep.
Yeah, and you had to wait for the one to come up if you missed them.
Mini games.
Horrible.
The first 139 in this category is just me complaining about how stupid that is for like 10 minutes. About how boring it was to just do the mini games and stupid socks in the run.
Alright, Univa had a really, really clean cow bungee section right there, so that was good.
Wakatiki races. There's an optimal pattern that we used to have to memorize. Like no joke, we had actual routing for Wakatiki.
I hope to see you guys next month when GSA hosts the Tiki Cup percent tournament between with a $1,000 prize pool.
Yeah, Robo Sponge RTA.
No, Industrial Park RT 41%.
The latest meme.
That was real.
On a bad run, you get to the end of the game and you're not on PV pace. You just fight the robot, and you call time on the final hit, and that's Robo Sponge RTA.
Nice.
The latest meme category.
You know, it's actually kind of crazy. Univa's really catching up, like, just in general, like.
We'll see how
Caves
close,
and they're doing different things.
This was a point of contention for Flux. We'll see how Univa does here. Like I said, Univa's running the risky route where if you get stuck here, you're in big trouble. So I think after Caves and DTLC, I'll have a better idea. Univa does DTLC, right?
I think so. If he doesn't and he has a 127, then that's a good 127. Like, it's a really good time.
Yeah, it's like how Seal has a 127 with none of the new slide tech in Sand Mountain and no lag clips except for like GCLC, I think.
Yeah, I think people. There you go.
There's a clean clip from Univa.
You know, I almost had no doubts that he was gonna miss that. He was the one that found it, so he should know what he's doing.
Right. It is right.
I was gonna say, it's actually looked over a lot that a lot of these runners who have top times actually opt out of doing a lot of the, like, really fast things. Like, sometimes, you know.
It's just that whole balance of consistency and speed.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of crazy to think how runners like, you know, Seal and even Univa, just because I'm not sure if Univa does Gate 3, LCB, and normal attempts.
The standards for the tricks you have to do in this game to save time are very high. Where you have a lot of these tricks that are extremely difficult, but they save a little bit. So, depending on how much time you have PV by, there's more or less motivation to do it. Of course, in a race setting, it's also different as well. So you gotta, it's a different strategy because there's so much of a punishment for missing something like Sandman, one trip. You know? Like the Larry LCB. Or even just LSS.
Alright, so Univa is doing it. See if you can get it.
This looks okay. Yeah.
Nice. That was sick. All right.
Yeah, the most important factor in this trick is the angle, the camera angle.
All right, so Univa just saved like a minute off of Flux, just off of that trick. So I'm gonna safely say that as far as things are going right now,
yeah, I think now
Univa's, yeah, Univa's got to be in the
reload.
lead.
That sucks, but yeah, it's museum. They'll be all right. Jeez, that
still
was
plenty of. Actually, I'm actually curious to see if Flux is gonna do Gate 3 LCB.
I think at this point they kind of have to, right?
Yeah, I would think so. Like, it looks like Univa's starting to get a pretty sizable lead here.
You've just met the Sponginator.
Things can still go wrong, of course. Like, Univa's definitely not out of the woods or anything. There's still a ton left to play, but
it's not time until the final fuse is hit.
exactly. Trust me, I've had some fun runs. You can lose your fun runs with a lot of fun things.
Yeah.
In this game, so
They're not runs, they're called funds.
funds, speed funds. camera angle. That is very sketch.
Number 1 in the Bikini Bottom scavenger hunt, 3 years running. Thank you.
I didn't even pay attention to the spatula counts. How many does Flux have? Like 56 or something?
Number 1 in the Bikini Bottom scavenger hunt, 3 years running. Thank you.
Oh, Univa's going into kelp forest now. These routes really don't overlap at all.
No, you have to wait until lab to know really where they. Well, I mean, a few minutes before lab, you'll be
That's
able
why I
to tell.
love
But
the tractor for these. It's easy to show the audience. Well, Univa has this Dutchman, and then downtown, which is a pretty long segment for them in this scenario because they have to do it all in one shot.
I knew that was gonna happen. If you miss
Yeah,
that button right there, you're kind of.
That's like, it's almost like it's bait because everybody thinks they can get the recovery like that, but like
Yeah, you're kind of just screwed. Oh, he
most
didn't
of the
take
time
leaf.
it ends up just killing you. Yeah.
How did he not take the leaf up there? That was faster, but ooh, okay, he's good. All right, so yeah, I mean, I've seen that happen on multiple occasions, different races. Somebody usually has a little fluke right there where they miss the button, but it's not too much time, but it does hurt a little bit. Yeah, it's so weird. Like Flux is doing Dream now, and then Univa's not going to be doing Dream until the very end. It's like you can tell just how different these routes are. They have absolutely no correlation. Ooh, that's unfortunate.
Alright, so a couple of movement blunders from both. Even out the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, it's probably like right back to where it was before. Same pacing.
Alright, let's see this cutscene skip from Flux. Yeah, waiting nice and long for that text box to clear.
Ooh,
The reason
I like
why you
what
wait on that is to clear the lag because you press B too early. The level is not entirely loaded, so you kind of lag a little bit. And you don't get enough speed to go off the cliff. It kind of eats your input so you don't walk forward. Alright, coming up to the kelp caves. This is one of the most interesting levels in the game as far as what strats players choose to use. There are a lot of different things you can do here.
Has anybody went for camper skip?
The one where you clip?
Yeah, like the ledge grab one.
I don't think so.
I don't think
'Cause
anybody
you
really
have to
goes
get
for
that
that.
clip. The Death Warp loses time over the pressure plate, so
Yeah.
they'd have to be sure they're gonna get it to justify going for it.
Yeah, Univa's
Unless
having
you
some trouble here. That should work. There you go. All right, so a little bit of time lost on that vine climb, but
yeah.
good news is that he got it. So
Univa's getting all of the hard stuff out of the way too, so
yeah, exactly.
see how Flux does later on that. Not to imply they're not gonna get it as well, but it's tough to say what that means for the rest of the race. Univa messing that up. You know, you can tell the difference between an older runner and a newer runner. Yeah, the older runners shake the camera when they mess something up.
Camera shake. Yeah, let the audience know that you're not
Maybe
happy either.
maybe it's a Canadian thing actually.
No, I do it too.
Okay.
I do
Well,
it
you
too.
got it from Fuff, so it might just be a Canadian thing. The Canadian shake. Yep, and they'll just be leaving downtown now because, or leaving to downtown, excuse me. They already got the sock from P earlier. Does Univa do swap flip?
Yes.
There it is. I think it might be a little bit delayed, but yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunately it.
Yeah.
Alright, I respect the decision to just do the button, because you never know.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
That's unfortunately a lot of time lost, though. Everything in this game loses like half a minute. It's so toxic. We'll see how Flux does on rooftops. First big jump here.
Number 1 in the Bikini Bottom scavenger hunt, 3 years running. Say hello to my little bubble friend.
In Flux's last race, they fell on rooftops and got the bubble bowl
Oh yeah.
back up. So see if that needs to come into play again. Ooh.
Oh.
Little sketchy there.
Yeah.
Fine. All right. Yeah, Flux is good. So no need for the backup.
I don't know about that. Okay. Yeah, because I thought for a second that that bowling shot on Univa's side might not have worked, but nonetheless. Alright, they're heading in the graveyard now.
So Univa has Graveyard, then Downtown, then Rock Bottom, and then Dream. And Flux has Kelp, Graveyard,
Sand Murmler.
Murmler. Okay, so yeah, this is actually gonna end up being pretty close, I think. As far as time distribution goes for like all of those segments, I think they come out to pretty close to even. I still think Univa has a little bit of a lead. I'm not 100% positive.
I think Univa's Kelp Caves is gonna make that kind of questionable.
Oh,
Yeah, now this graveyard is kind of looking sketchy as well.
yeah, that's not helping. Yeah, so if Flux can have a good kelp caves, then they'll have a pretty good chance at winning this. I think it's still up in the air. I mean, they have the same exact amount of spatulas right now. Well, not anymore, but
Here we are.
That was almost a sketchy boat bash from Univa. The helmet was like right on the cusp of going into that doorway. That's one of the things you have to watch out for with boat bash.
yeah, making sure that you don't bash too late and then bash up into the other room. You know, it's funny because even though they're not doing the same routes and you really can't tell who's in the lead, you can just get that sense that this is a good race. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you just know that this is a good race anyways.
Yeah, I think the spatula count also contributes to that as well.
I agree. I mean, it's not...
Like, Flux also is like just entering a really fast level after getting past one of the slow levels, so their spatula count's gonna get a little bit jacked up for a bit. But Univa still has the slower level to do downtown.
Univa's got the slower level, but then has two fast ones as well.
Really fast ones, yeah.
Yeah, Rock Bottom is actually, considering that you have to do lasers, Rock Bottom is actually a really fast segment. If it wasn't for lasers, that segment would be very quick.
Yeah, you still gotta consider that lasers takes a while to do though.
It does.
Alright, this is gonna be a critical point of the race here for Flux. See what happens with the Vine Bash. I know Flux has prepared a lot for these races, so we'll see if the Vine Bash practice has paid off. It's weird that people do the crystals behind the gate first now. Univa. I feel like Univa's
there you go.
might have been a little bit too fast.
It was fast. I was going to say the exact same thing. Moving too fast on that cage, but it made it work.
Yeah.
I think he was just trying to get a cruise missile to like actually input so that he could do the turnaround that he was trying to do. I think that's why he kind of took so long. Flux is having the same amount of trouble that Univa was with this.
Equalize a little bit.
I think they both actually lost around the same exact amount of time, it looked like.
Yeah.
So,
The problem is though that like I think the Flux is at a slight disadvantage here. So they're not really capitalizing on the time loss. They're more or less just kind of like going even.
exactly. That's what I was going to say. Not really making use of that time that you could have saved, but you're also not losing any time. So it's not a bad scenario, but it's not the best case. I mean, there's still time to save if Flux opts to not do the lag clip and swamp, then they'll be saving time there. Or
Good.
if they do it and they get it, they'll be saving even more time.
Yeah, this is kind of a rough. That whole like fallen building area with the tartar sauce spot is kind of whack sometimes. You got the tartar sauce going in weird directions and like getting stuck on geometry. It's even worse if you're going for the tartar sauce bash. For those in the audience who don't know, the tartar sauce bash is when you jump on top of the robot's head and bash onto the building instead of going around. Saves quite a bit of time. But it's also RNG dependent.
Yeah, if the robot's standing too far in or out of the fallen building, then it won't work. It's a pretty specific spot. We're still not really sure who's in the lead for sure right now, Pixel, but we have a good idea that Univa probably is, just factoring in the mistakes that Flux had. Univa hasn't really had any.
I think we'll have a better idea after rooftops.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, there's not really been any major indicators on either side of who would be leading right now. The spatula counts are very similar. You can't really go off of that purely just because, you know, all spatulas vary, but nice movement from Univa. That was clean. Yo, is that faster?
I haven't timed it. I can look at it sometime though.
That looked like it might have been faster. I actually like that. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
I forget that you
what
can
it's
make
worth.
use of the closer camera so that you know, spin and don't fall off. Flux is having a really good Murmel error right now. Except for Vex Bruce, which caused a little bit of trouble, but the clip was really good.
Yeah, it's Sand Mountain and Graveyard for them. And
Sand Mountain and Graveyard on one side, and then we have the rest of downtown, Rock Bottom, and Dream for Univa. This is gonna end up being really close.
yeah. Yeah, Univa's got the big boy levels left.
I don't know if Flux is gonna go for the Gate 3 LCB or not. I don't even know if it's a good idea at this point. Earlier I would have said yeah, but
If Flux has an idea of how much time they're ahead or behind by, I guess we'll see. I mean, it's a matter of perception, right? Like, what does Univa have left? How far are they? You know?
yeah.
Just curious to see what they choose, and I guess we can ask them later what the choice was.
Univa's got like 3 minutes left of downtown.
Nah, not even. It's like
Maybe
2.
last 2. Yeah. 2 minutes left of downtown. Then like a, I don't know. I don't know how many minutes.
Yeah.
But something. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Whatever.
It'll be close.
I'm done trying to act like I know who's in the lead. I have no idea, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
We got the
Okay, so-
LCB.
Yeah, I respect this decision. I don't think it's bad, but I also wouldn't waste a ton of time. That's not fast.
Oh,
Okay, good thing they
Yeah.
know. That's the thing. These LCBs can really make or break.
it's hard for me to tell when I'm watching on this aspect ratio because the screen that I play on is like stretched. So it looks like it looks like it's a different speed. That one's kind of slow. Yeah, I think what they're okay. This is interesting.
They're not going to be able to
What's-
get up there, I don't think.
Oh, I thought okay. So wait, I think what
Oh, timer stop. Okay.
they were doing timer stop. I thought they were trying to switch to Sandy and like abort. I don't know if
That's what
they're
I
doing.
thought. That's what I was going to say. But, I mean, this might work. I think they're going to try for it. Oh, it did work. Okay. I didn't think that was fast enough. Alright. This should work, though, as long as the slam is placed correctly. There you go. Nice.
Nice.
Alright, that was good. That was good. Honestly, probably not saving much time.
Yeah,
because
I was
of
about to
how
say
long-
big time save, but not saving much. Yeah.
Not much, if any, because the LCB did take probably around like 30-40 seconds, which is how much it saves, so. But I do respect the decision to go for it. I think that wasn't a bad call.
Yeah, if you're not doing LSS, it saves like 50. But nowadays, like, if you're just running 100%, you're not going to learn LSS. So it's effectively just 50. Big.
Alright, so. Things are looking pretty. They still have the same amount of spatulas. They've kept even with spatula count, like, basically the whole entire time. The good news for Flux is that after this, it's only graveyard. But the
And
good
they're
news
done,
for
yeah.
Univa is that rock bottom is relatively quick compared to like downtown. So yeah, I mean this is gonna come down to probably like a minute, under a minute, if I had to guess.
Alright, there's the LCB for Flux.
Not bad.
So I'm gonna guess that like Univa will be like a decent way through lasers by the time Flux enters graveyard. And
Yes,
then
this is-
Univa has
Dream.
Dream, and then that's it. So I think Univa is actually it's a pretty decent lead right now.
Yeah, I think so too.
Gotta say though, it's cool that like both of these runners had to play. All the runners today had to play twice, and seeing the consistency from everyone is, it's neat. It's not easy to do all these races in one day for how long and grueling the category is.
All right, so Flux needs to get this right now. And they do.
There you go. All right, well that's a done deal.
All right, so not out of it.
Nope. Yeah, a little bit of a rocky museum, and Mistwarp is going to make Univa a little bit farther behind than I expected, but it should still be in lasers.
Yeah, lasers takes what, like a minute and a half?
Depends. I'd say for most players, like a minute 45 to a minute 50. But
Yeah, this is gonna be close, man. Whew.
yeah, I'm not sure.
I think Univa still does have a sizable lead, like you said, because Dutchman's takes a pretty decent amount of time.
It might
compared
come
to...
down to the grill, like the cutscene skip on the grill,
Mhm.
and of course the brain.
Yeah, that's one thing you have to consider too. Univa does have to do brain, so if Univa's not practiced for brain,
That
and
was the camera shake off of that sleepy skip. Yeah, that was close. Sorry to interrupt.
no, you're good. I was just saying that, you know, if Univa's not practiced with brain and has some hiccups there, that could actually kind of turn this race around. So we'll see what happens.
I really hate that stupid rock jump strat, especially in a race.
I do too, because I feel like you don't consistently hit that ledge enough.
I hate that with the art text box and having to dodge the shit.
Without your first input going in.
Yeah, because the text box eats it. Univa's gonna go a little bit to the left here against the FPS. They catch you though. It's kind of weird strat where like you don't get punished for your angle because the tikis catch you. This is gonna be a close one, man.
Yeah, this is coming down to the wire. This is actually crazy. Oh yeah, because Univa still has to do this sock.
Slow.
I always do that. Isn't it faster to do this first and then hit the first one with a missile?
Yeah, it is. But I really hope there's a way we can find to skip this someday, because
Look at this. Isn't that fun having to wait for the cycle? I love it. Quality. Oh man, I think Flux might actually. I don't know. I can't really tell.
yeah, this is a rough boat bash. This happened in the last match too, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Okay, no, Univa definitely has a lead here. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that like at this pace, Flux will be entering, or rather leaving. Flux will probably be on their way to leave Dutchman fight as Univa's going in a chum bucket. So the only thing that can really, I guess, like brain, Squid's Dream obviously is a tough platforming segment, but most of these runners are pretty consistent at it.
In other news, if Univa gets this Crab's cutscene skip, he's probably gonna get a 126. He's like 15 seconds behind my time.
Oh, I haven't even been paying attention to the time.
He's gonna PB. He's gonna PB.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's gonna kill his PB right now by like a minute.
Oh my god. The Rock RCB. Nice. Jeez. Yeah,
Univa played really good.
I think
Oh,
that
he didn't
Univa
get
has
it.
like 2 big deaths in his PB or something like that. Like his current PB, not the one that he's most likely about to get. But yeah.
I don't know if he'll
swingers bounce
126
thing is
anymore.
such a- I regret ever finding that strat, the swingers bounce.
I love that strat. I used to just do that before it was even a strat. I'd just ride across. I'd just ride across them because I'm like, hey, these have hitboxes.
It was fast for like, I don't even know how long it was fast for. It was not fast for very long.
Flux almost saved that.
It was only fast because we straight up didn't have like a solution for not having to turn around and bash off the little the toxic waste things. Also, yeah, that reload on Dutchman's, that's kind of just solidifying Univa's lead right there.
Yeah, Univa's probably gonna take this. Like, I don't see anything. Unless Brain really causes some problems. This would have been close.
Wow,
But,
what a run from Univa.
yeah,
so
Univa's
far.
gonna get a
This is
126
like,
if he gets it.
wow, a PB in grand finals, maybe?
That's what it's looking like right now. I think he's more than guaranteed to PB here. He can mess up Brain twice and probably still be his time by a decent amount. I think it's gonna be like a 126.50 something.
Alright, well, there goes Flux into the cage.
Alright, so here's what needs to happen. Univa needs to get Brain. Probably within the first, like, 2 tries.
Yeah, pretty much
That
has
doesn't
one-
happen,
one misses,
then
yeah.
Flux has a shot. But Univa's consistent. I think he's gonna get it. I think because he knows he can PB right
Yeah,
now, he's gonna be trying.
it's not Flux's race to win at this point. It's Univa's race to lose.
Exactly.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Univa won the other GSA tournament as well. I think that Univa won by a little tiny bit.
Oh,
no.
oh no, that might have killed 126. I think it did.
Nah, he's fine. That's just still a 126.
Okay,
if
yeah,
the
he'll still
brain's
get.
good.
I'll get a 126, like 55 or 54 or something
Well,
like
let's see what
that.
happens.
Oh yeah, you
Okay.
got it. Got it. He's good. Let's go, Univa.
See this pipe clip. Once you're in bounds of the brain, yeah, that's
All right, he's in there.
We're doing the extra fun strat that can give you a little soft block for 3 seconds. Okay,
Yes.
that might
gonna
be
do
it.
it.
That might be the
126.
race.
126.
126 and a grand finals win for Univa.
And a PB. Beautiful. Good
Wow.
stuff, Univa.
That was a great grand finals match.
I want to get.
That might be one of the best 100% matches we've had.
Somebody get that man in here so I can shake his hand. Univa.
Holy-
You legend, dude.
Wow.
Congrats on the PB, man.
Will SpongeBob be able
And
to
the win.
neutralize the giant
Yeah,
robot's brain?
Might not be the appropriate time to ask, but you won the last one too, didn't you? The
I
MSP.
did.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
You're
two
nuts, dude. You're nuts.
I was not expecting that.
I knew you were gonna get a 126. As soon as I saw your pace compared to my splits, like out of Squid's Dream, I was like, oh yeah, he's good.
Oh my god.
And
I
you
was
didn't even
so
get the cutscene
scared.
skip too.
Yeah, that's fine though. Only
Did
lost
you
like...
go for it or did you just opt to not?
I did go for it, but like I think the lag messed up my timing, so I could not get the pause in. And yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, you gotta wait a little bit. It's like, yeah.
Oh my god. I'm breathing so heavily right now.
That's awesome, dude.
Hey man, you earned it. You absolutely earned it. You played really well. Both of you guys did. That was a great finals match. It actually came down to, like, the wire almost. You guys were within like 30 seconds of each other at the end. I think Flux just had some problems in the
Yeah.
lab, but
I was peeking every now and
That's
then.
just the nature of races, you know.
Yeah, GG, Univa.
Yo, GG's Flux. That was a great match.
Congrats. Yeah, for sure. That's PB, right?
Yeah, that's PB.
Good shit.
126.
Nice.
What'd he do?
Top 5 is 126 now. Cool.
Awesome.
That's nuts.
All my plans.
Great way to
Shit.
close off.
I shouldn't have done front sub.
Shit, I'm becoming a lawyer.
What's front sub?
Oh, it's where you go up the front of the Dutchman ship. Or
Oh,
Dutchman skip. I mean, I don't know if that would I mean, if I had choked Robo Sponge anyway, it wouldn't have mattered. But I think it was like still technically doable up until then.
You still had a chance after that, though. I mean, it would have just.
Yeah.
Me and Shift just said it would have came down to it was Univa's race to lose rather than yours to win, just because like if
Yeah,
he did
for
nail
sure.
everything perfectly like he did. I mean, he did.
Yeah.
You missed the Robo Sponge skip once, but
yeah, it was the Krabs cutscene and the other one as well. But the
yeah.
Krabs
yeah.
cutscene only cost like 8 seconds because it wasn't a miss after the reload, so not that big.
Right. True, true.
Well, enough nitpicking. That was great to watch. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was a
Yep.
good match. It's
And
good
there's more
dressing
to
both
come.
of you guys.
More to come with these races.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think that I or GSA will be organizing the next one, but someone in the community is going to be organizing another tournament pretty soon, so he'll start posting about that within the next like week or so. Be open some new runners, different category, get more people included on the fun.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so I think we're good to wrap up, right?
Yeah,
You
I
guys
think
are all
so.
good. All right, so yeah, just another announcement. Again, I know we already talked about it before, but go to Pace. Please go to Pace. Whoever can go to Pace, show up and represent this community and go to Pace. Even if you're not a part of this community,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a good
Yeah, I
time.
heard that even at GDQ, there are quite a few Bob runners there, and the atmosphere where like you have a lot of people just playing the game in the same corner, like doing races, sharing strats, teaching new people how to play the games. Like it's a fun experience. Like any speedrunning event is really fun to attend. You get to meet your online friends in person. You get to make friends with people online in person. That's good.
Yes, absolutely
time.
worth it. So
And
go to
if you're-
Pace. Keep supporting GSA. Keep supporting BFBB runners. And
If you
that's
want to learn how to run this game, we have the resources open for everybody.
as well as that. Yes.
We're going through a testing process right now for the new any percent tutorial. It's around 90 minutes in so far, a little bit past Industrial Park. Starting to teach cruise boosting, but I mean I have a lot of people who are like testing the tutorial to see how effective it is, and yeah, it's going to be a good one. So competitive speedrunners, new speedrunners, people who are rusty in the game, want to get back into it and learn how to play again, like all types of people. It's going to be open for everyone, really. It's going to be the tutorial to learn how to play this game, so keep watch for that if you're interested in learning how to play. You know, in the past, it's been pretty difficult to get back into this game with how many strats get found so often. But
Yeah. No kidding.
yeah, hopefully wrap it up for all types of speedrunners to be able to play if they want to. Just a fully comprehensive video on how to play.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, on behalf of everybody who was a part of this tournament, thank you again, GSA, for hosting, and thank you, Milo, for doing this match. We appreciate that, and everybody who came out and watched. I think we're gonna send it over to a break now, but congrats again, Univa
Thank
and
you.
Flux. You guys both played really well. That was
Thank
a very good match. So, congrats to both of you guys. And
Thank you.
we will see you guys on the flip side. So
Yeah.
have a good night.
Good night.
Congratulations again to both of you guys for your winnings.
Yeah, thank you. It's a lot of fun.
All right, take care, guys.